Hey, come here. You like pro wrestling? We got a little something for you. Two fans, 3,000 miles away. We each been watching for more than 30 years. Celebrating the art form, the action, the homoeroticism. We ain't rating matches. We ain't analyzing stories. We ain't experts. We just sit down, shut up, and mark out! Welcome, everybody, to Sit Down, Shut Up, and Mark Out. My name is Blade Daly, and I'm joined once again by the incredible Joshi G. Joshi G, homie, the original OG. How are you?
I'm doing all right. I'm taking it easy, slowly recovering, getting there one day at a time. How are you doing?
I'm doing much better now that you're back. I'm doing much better. And, you know, I mean, exactly. One day at a time, you're taking it easy and just trying to kind of find your way to feeling back at full strength. But I'm really glad you're with us this week. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Place isn't the same without you, Joshi G.
So.
But yeah, it's been a wild week in the world of professional wrestling, as it always is. But it's also been a wild week in my personal viewing habits, and that is because I started watching Ripley on Netflix. Fantastic show. I love it. It's, you know, obviously it's kind of like based on the series that The Talented Mr. Ripley is based off of. But it's shot very old school. But I love that, like, they're in these big, beautiful set pieces, these big, beautiful sound stages. There's no CGI bullshit going on constantly. It's set up like a classic movie, but with 8K cameras. And it's just beautiful. And the cinematography, the visual storytelling is so good. Highly recommended to anybody interested in watching an old school style series that you know utilizes the aesthetic of of classic movies and stuff, but through a modern lens. I highly recommend it. And then the other thing, I've been on a bit of a project, Joshi, and that's, I'm a nerd, you know. I mean, duh, I host a wrestling podcast, but like in more ways than one am I a nerd. And that is when X-Men 97 came out, I got super excited about X-Men. And I'm like, you know what, Blade Daly, you know what you're going to do? You are going to go back and start from issue 1 and completely read through the entire X-Men. And I am only on issue 46, and it is a rough go. I'm going to tell you that right now. It is a very rough go. There's very little about X-Men at this point that's anything like what we know X-Men as. And so I'm in the year 1968 right now. I only have like 20 more issues on this certain area of the X-Men, so I gotta. I will make it through, but it's not been fun. It's not been fun. How about you, Joshi G? What's going on? What's just the life of Joshi G like right now?
Well, first off, is your favorite X-Men character Wolverine, or do you have another favorite character?
It is Wolverine.
He's also my favorite character.
Of course he is. Of course he is, because we're twins.
Yes, of course.
We're wrestling
I love
twins,
him
we're
so
comic
much.
twins, we're whatever twins.
I do love my comic books. But yes, as far as what I'm doing right now, I watched a movie all about Eve. The reason being that I know AEW has used this movie as inspiration for the Mariah May Tony Storm storyline. So I thought, you know what? Why not check it out? And it is an amazing movie. I didn't expect it to be that good. Wow.
It's super good.
Oh my gosh. Bette Davis was absolutely incredible. What an amazing actress. The acting was really top notch. It is such a crazy story. I don't want to spoil it, you know, so please, if you want to watch something really crazy and see how it inspired Mariah and Tony, please do watch it. And then something else that I watched during the weekend was...
oh, shit!
Just a little heads up to you guys, you know that we're fucking stupid, and basically we're about to give away the entire plot to a Netflix show, so if you like true crime and you want to watch a show about people stalking and killing people, good for you. It's a good show, but you definitely want to skip ahead.
Lover, Stalker, Killer, which is based on Liz Golyer. And this is an absolutely crazy story. So I'm not sure if you guys are aware of this, but back in 2012, there was this woman named Liz who was dating this guy, and they didn't date for a very long time. But he had just been through a divorce, so he was seeing her, but he was also seeing somebody else. And this crazy Liz person, she killed the other girl that he was dating. Her name was Carrie. And then she impersonated her for years and stalked him. And he thought that Carrie was the one stalking him, but really it was Liz. So this was just a total mindfuck.
They were even living together at a certain point, and she was still sending him messages, stalking him while he was living with her, pretending to be this other woman.
Yeah, just absolutely insane. I can't believe that the cops didn't do more sooner. But if you're into crazy stories, I encourage you to watch it. It's really insane. It's on Netflix, and I think you'll enjoy it. It's just crazy the level that some people will go to hurt someone because they feel like they've been rejected or something along those lines. Just absolutely insane.
It's wild. I had forgotten the name of it. We were talking about it before we started running today. And Joshi was like, have you watched that yet? And I was like, no. And then she started explaining it. I'm like, no, wait, I did watch that. We discovered that we are both appreciators of true crime stories and apparently comics as well. And surprise, surprise, Wolverine's our favorite X-Man. But just another day in the life of Sit Down, Shut Up, Mark Out, motherfuckers. So welcome to the show. We've got a lot of stuff to talk about today. We're going to talk a little bit about AEW. As you might imagine, we have a little to talk about a recent match that happened in good old World of Stardom. And we've got a lot more. But we're going to start off by talking about something kind of important. We're going to talk about fandom for a minute. It's an important point to make about something that in the grand scheme of things is relatively unimportant. And it's what we do as a fandom that makes things not fun. And it sucks. If you're listening to this, you're some kind of fan of professional wrestling. It's why we're here. If you're not a fan of professional wrestling, I have no fucking idea why you would listen to this. So when I was growing up, as a wee Blade Daily, okay, mother and father daily, we didn't have the internet, and most people didn't have the internet, okay, at that time. All I had were magazines and television. And if I liked something, I watched it. If I didn't like something, I didn't watch it. I had friends. We would talk. I never hated a wrestling company ever. I might not like a certain wrestler in a wrestling company, but I wasn't devoted to shitting all over a wrestling company. Okay. But now fandoms, like everything else in our world, apparently, are super polarized. And we're in this age where it's everything is almost like in American politics, MAGA versus sane people. Okay. It's overtaken everything. It's us versus them. And I have to say, it absolutely fucking sucks. Okay. I don't watch WWE anymore. I know Joshi doesn't watch WWE anymore, but I don't watch it for my very own personal reasons. I made a very big choice in my life at the time to withdraw from the company. I still love the stuff I grew up with, though, but I don't care about the product they make anymore. And I have to admit, I, just as much as anybody else, can get sucked into the shit show when Triple H or someone else takes a shot at AEW or says something that I feel is unfair. I wish I didn't, but it's meant to provoke us, and it does. But I don't watch WWE. I don't go on other people's posts online who are posting about something they loved about Raw or SmackDown or NXT. I don't go there and tell them, oh, well, the show sucked and I didn't even watch it. But that happens all the time. It happens all the time. And why do we do this? I mean, I'm no saint, but I I definitely don't waste my time trying to ruin other people's fun. I don't look for, people enjoying something so I can go tell them how much it sucks. And, I can't say the same for a lot of other people. Unfortunately, I'm an AEW fan. So that's a really easy example. Fellow AEW fans will relate to that, but I'm sure it happens for fans of New Japan, Stardom, and TNA. Why is it important for people to try and stomp out the enjoyment of others? What does it matter how many wrestling companies there are, and why would we root for any of them to fail? That's like rooting against the wrestlers. It's rooting against people in production. It's rooting against employment, gainful employment for people who do this thing that we all claim to love. And the other thing about it, it's so disingenuous at the end of the day. Okay? Like, for instance, I made a post this week, very tongue-in-cheek, about Will Ospreay and how certain people said it wasn't a very big signing. I was actually talking about AEW fans who said it wasn't a big signing because he had already wrestled there before. And I thought that was hilarious because, of course, it's a huge signing if you're an AEW fan. We see him now on TV all the time. He's been a huge addition to the show, right? But no, I have all these dickheads jump into my thread talking about, well, he hasn't moved ratings. He hasn't blah, 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 blah. And that's not even what my post said nothing about that. But it's so funny because there were the other dumbasses who jump in and go like, who's Will Ospreay? Blah, 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 blah. Yet they know exactly who Ethan Page was when he showed up on NXT. Give me a fucking break. You guys, come on. This is so stupid. Like, and it's not what I want this show to be about, but come on, we got to talk about how ridiculous this is. Let's try to be better. I don't expect that me saying this is going to change anything. In fact, I know it won't. But at the end of the day, it's okay to like what you like and not like what you don't like. It's okay to tolerate the fact that some people like things you think suck. It's okay that people have what you think is a bad opinion because it's an opinion about a subjective thing. You know that subjectivity means there's no objectivity, which means there is no right or wrong. It's just what you like and what you don't like. God damn it. Fuck. Jesus. Fuck, shit, fuck. Damn this. Why are we doing this? God. Joshi, please stop me.
All right. Well, I completely agree with you. I'm really sick of it. We see this kind of tribalism everywhere now. Like you said, we see it in politics, and it's a shame that we have to see it in wrestling as well. And as I said, as you said, actually, if, let's say, someone posts something about Dynamite and you don't like Dynamite, why do you feel the need to respond to it and crap all over it? What does that do for you? Why do you want to hurt other people's enjoyment of something? For me, I'm not a WWE fan anymore. I don't want them to go out of business. I don't hate WWE fans. I don't hate WWE wrestlers or anything like that. But I have my reasons for not watching and supporting that company. However, I won't harass the wrestlers that work there. That is uncalled for. And I won't harass their fans. If someone that I follow on Threads posts how amazing Raw was, I'm not going to respond and say, oh, I bet it sucked. That's not cool. It's become so toxic. And like you said, why does there only need to be one promotion? Why can't there be a bunch of promotions and people just like what they like? I even remember when it was pretty much WWE and TNA, and I used to be on a wrestling forum, and the constant attacks, towards TNA were completely unnecessary. When Christian Cage jumped ship, oh, well, he's not really that great anyway. This crap has been going on for years, and it's just getting worse. And I would just like it to stop. So like you, this week, I posted on Threads about my concerns of, WWE trying to monopolize professional wrestling again. And the reason that I posted this was because as someone who has been a fan of professional wrestling for over 20 years, I know what the signs are when they're trying to monopolize professional wrestling. And some things that they've been doing lately have been concerning to me. I just wanted to address that and say, hey, let's make sure this doesn't happen again. That's all I was trying to do. And some people took it the wrong way and got upset, and I don't understand why. I don't want wrestling to ever be monopolized again. When I was a kid, I watched WWF and WCW. I'm just saying I never want that to happen again, because for a good 20 years, having only one major option really, really sucked.
Yeah. No, and I don't want Tony Khan to own the entire wrestling business.
No.
I don't want anyone to own the entire wrestling business. Look what happened to WWE in the time where they had no serious competition. The product got so much worse. And all of us should want the companies to push each other to do better work, to be on their game, and to have stakes if they don't, you know? And so, you know, I don't want to make the show about this, but at the same time, guys, come on. We're better than this. At least we should be. And let's hope that we can be going forward, okay? Because this is a fucking waste of time. It's just a way to shit on each other. And at the end of the day, we're all just human beings trying to share stuff that we love with each other and enjoy with each other. So we're going to get away from this and go on to something that we truly do love. And that is this incredible match that we saw in Stardom. And we'll talk about it in just a sec. Yeah, so, Joshi, you sent me this match from the All-Star Grand Queendom pay-per-view that Stardom put on at the end of April. And, you know, no big deal. Mayu Iwatani versus Suri. Holy shit. Joshi, take it. I need to catch my breath.
Well, Mayu Iwatani is the ace of Stardom. She really is one of the best female wrestlers in the world, period. And I had never seen her in a match with Suri. I think they maybe wrestled many years ago, but they were much younger back then. So to see them both in that ring now in their prime, wow. I mean, for me, the match passed by really fast. I was so invested in it, and they moved so quickly in the ring, and they beat the crap out of each other. They were really aggressive. They kept countering each other's moves. It was absolutely beautiful. It was perfect. I have to say, it's the women's match of the year for me. I've seen other women's matches that were very good, but this was on another level. The intensity of this match gave me chills, and I did not look at the time once. It just felt, it didn't even feel like, I believe it was a 20-minute match. It didn't feel like 20 minutes. It felt like a 10-minute match. I think it was 20. But,
Okay.
But yeah, it passed. The pacing was on another level. These two have an amazing dynamic together in the ring. The chemistry is off the charts. This is a match that I would like to see happen again. I don't care where it happens. I just really want to see it happen again. And Suri, actually, she's not signed to Stardom. She is currently signed to Sukeban, which is the Joshi promotion, American Joshi promotion, really.
That's on
that
TikTok,
Bull Nakano,
right?
Yeah, on TikTok, that Bull Nakano started. So they don't have shows regularly yet. So she's able to work wherever she wants. And I'm sure she's going to show up in Stardom again, which is freaking awesome. But yeah, like, after watching this match, I kept telling myself, I am so happy that Mayu Iwatani is sticking around, because you can't lose the ace of Stardom. It just wouldn't feel like Stardom anymore. And I'm just so grateful that Stardom was able to make this match happen. Who would have thought? Mayu against this other incredible Joshi, who is not signed, and by the way, who was in NXT for a while. Yep. Her name was... what was it, Saray or something like that?
Yeah, it was very similar. I forget exactly what it was, but
yeah.
Question for you, Joshi, is Mayu's the one who beat Mercedes for the IWGP Women's title, correct?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So she's held it for like a year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or a little over a year. Yeah. That belt it's really too bad. It feels like an afterthought. Like, I feel like they should merge it with the Stardom title or something. Because when they made the IWGP Strong Women's title, it just doesn't make a lot of sense to me that they also have the IWGP Women's title and the Stardom title. And, I mean, it's just kind of like, what's going on here? And it's too bad that they would waste a title on the ace of Stardom, Mayu Iwatani, because, as you said, unbelievable wrestler. This woman, she looks so like kind and gentle in all of her pictures. She's, making the peace sign with a big smile. She looks very young, almost childlike. And then this match starts and she like grunts and groans and like screams like a fucking demon, like, and commits some of the most brutal in-ring atrocities to Sari that I have ever seen. Like it is just like unbelievable violence between these two women. And the finish of this match, and I don't want to, so I won't say who did the move to who, but this match ends with a stalling German suplex that is then converted mid-stall into a dragon suplex pin. That is absolutely mind-blowing. So the match is Mayu Iwatani versus Sari in Stardom. Happened just less than 2 months ago at the All-Star Grand Queendom pay-per-view. Make sure you go check it out. It is so good. We will put that in the description. The link will be in the description. You gotta go see this match. It is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it's on YouTube. We're going to send it to you. And please, if you're a fan of women's wrestling, watch it. This is the highest women's wrestling match of the year so far. And it is personally my favorite women's match. I don't think that there was anything else that topped this. Not yet, anyway.
No. I think, of the other matches that I would say, like Toni Storm versus Serena Deeb at Double or Nothing was way up there for me. I would say this eclipses that. There's been a lot of great women's matches so far this year, but this is definitely the best one so far. Also, on Rampage this week, we got a fucking banger women's wrestling match. Serena Deeb versus Mina Shirakawa. I'm really glad I guys watched this before the Iwatani and Sari match, because there's just no way they could compete with it. It's just a style that's totally foreign to American audiences. Nonetheless, this match was absolutely fantastic. Mina Shirakawa, I've only seen her wrestle maybe 3 or 4 times. I am newer to Stardom. I am still acclimating myself. I'm somewhat familiar with everybody there. But Shirakawa, what I have to say about her, she could be a huge fucking star in America. This woman's got everything that it takes. Obviously she can work. Her selling is incredible. And boy, did she have a lot to sell, because Serena Deeb beat the living fuck out of her in this match. There was one point where I thought it was devolving into a shoot, actually, because on the outside, Deeb is like throwing her on her head on the ground. But, they're just two people who are very good at what they do, and they knew exactly what they were doing. A great back and forth match. Both women attacking each other's legs, remembering to sell their legs as well. And it ends in a decisive fashion. Joshi, your thoughts?
I loved it. I love the way they worked that match. I think Serena Deeb has amazing chemistry with the Joshis. I would personally send her to Stardom for a few matches. I really want to see her wrestle more of the talent there. This isn't the first time that she's wrestled the Joshi, and I thought, wow, she's even better when she wrestles the Joshis. You look at her matches with Shida, especially that second match that they had. It was one of the best matches in AEW. Her match against Rio on the pre-show at Double or Nothing a few years ago Was it 2020 or 2021? I can't recall.
2021, I believe.
2021. Another absolutely amazing match. I think that when Dee works with Joshi's, she can be a lot more physical. They take more punishment. And I noticed that in this match. And Mina is also very physical. So it just works so well. I loved how they, kept trying to kill each other, essentially. And what's so amazing about Mina is that she actually used to be in Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
And she was a lot tamer there. And then she joined Stardom, and she was part of Cosmic Angels and was kind of secondary to Tam Nakano. And now look at her. She started her own faction.
That's Club Venus, right?
Yeah. But now I think they have another name. I have to.
Yeah, well, I think, didn't they rename it when Mariah left? Or
yeah, Nexus or something. I can't recall the exact name. But to see how much she has evolved from those Tokyo Joshi days says a lot about her. She's such a hardworking person, and the fact that she travels back and forth from Japan to the US it takes a toll on your mind, on your body, and she does it. I have a lot of respect for Mina. I think the American audience is reacting very well to her. And like you, I think that she would be a huge star in the United States because she has it all. She is so charismatic. If you haven't watched her interview with RJ City on Hey EW, please do. She is so much fun. She's confident. She speaks English for the entire interview, and she speaks very well. And she's just so comfortable in her own skin. For a woman to say, hey, I love my body, and I'm going to put it out there, and I don't care what you think, that's a really hard thing to do as a woman, and I applaud her for that. She's absolutely beautiful in every single way. I'm just so happy that the American fans have been introduced to her. I really am.
Well, and for her to be involved in this story with Mariah and Tony, which the post-match bit where Tony comes out, and what we have to give it up for Tony's post-match, like, crazy Hollywood starlet pajamas that she's wearing
and those
with the headpiece and the slippers and the robe. Absolutely incredible. But for Mina to hold her own in the ring in the middle of this very English speaking storyline, that her facials and her behavior holds up her end of this story so well. I have nothing but respect and admiration for Mina. I have nothing but respect for the Professor Serena Deeb. And this is another women's match that was absolutely great. Honorable mention, Joshi, I know you haven't been able to watch Collision yet, but there was yet another women's match that was incredible on Collision this week, and that was Lady Frost versus Toni Storm. Great match. Absolutely incredible stuff. And a fantastic, actually it was on Rampage, where Tony did the voiceover talking about this match. It really held up. It really held up. It was a great match. Very good week for women's wrestling. Love where AEW is going with their women's division. I just wanted to keep it up, keep the foot on the gas. There's some really, really great stuff.
Just real quick, I think Lady Frost is absolutely amazing. She is so athletic, and the things that she could do in that ring, wow. You could really tell that she's wrestled in Mexico. She really brings that Lucha Libre style to AEW, which I like. I really want to see more of that in the AEW's women's division. And another quick point I want to make, I'm also very excited to see Mercedes Moné wrestle another luchadora from CMLL, Stephanie Vaquer's tag team partner, Zookies.
We have been trying to get this right, everybody.
Okay,
we're running with this one. So you're excited to see Mercedes wrestling Zooksies, which might be the right way to pronounce her name, and I don't even know that for sure. Okay? But this is our third fucking take, and we're sticking with it. We are sticking with it. So you tell me why you're so goddamn excited now.
Okay, because I've watched some CMLL before, and I found the luchadoras really fun. They're such good wrestlers. I love their masks. I love their energy. So I think it's really cool to see more of that style in the AEW women's division. Very excited. And maybe Stephanie will be at Dynamite. I don't know. I imagine she will be.
Yeah, I think she will be. Yeah, for sure. And this was actually when we were formulating the concept for this podcast, one of the early topics that we were kind of batting around is luchadoras and how they're not featured in American wrestling. Like, why are all these luchadors here, but there's no luchadoras? And AEW beat us to the punch, and good. I'd rather not have something to complain about. You know what I mean? But yes, we have Zeuxies, Zoozies, Zeus, whatever. We have Zeuxies coming to AEW Dynamite this week to fight Mercedes Moné. I am very confident that Stephanie Vacure will make her presence known. Very much looking forward. It's one of my most anticipated matches on Forbidden Door. That's going to be just absolutely incredible. In other news, MJF is back. Anyway, so we're moving on to other things. To follow up, last week I was talking about wanting to see more love for the AEW luchadors. And what do you know? This week it comes out that Penta El Zero Miedo, his contract is expiring sometime around August or September. And the word is out that WWE is quote unquote interested. And we don't need to get into the minutia of all the rumors, whatever. The fact that Penta cuts almost no promos on AEW television and the idea of losing him feels massive says so much about him. And then, as if to make my point, Penta appears on AEW this week with RJ City, and it's maybe my favorite episode they've ever done. Okay? He's hilarious and extremely capable of cutting a really good promo. Okay? Like, I actually thought Alex Abrahantes was very entertaining in this as well. And it made, Tony, TK, Buddy, this actually made Penta feel more undervalued when it was all said and done, because this guy can cut a promo. He's really, really, really good. And I believe with concerted effort, Penta can be built as a single star and should be in AEW. Joshi, your thoughts?
I love Penta. I've loved Penta since his Lucha Underground days. In Lucha Underground, he was my favorite, period. I loved Penta Dark. I wanted to see more of that version of him in AEW. We kind of got a glimpse of it when he was feuding with Cody for like 2 weeks or something like that a few years ago, but that wasn't enough. And I didn't like that he lost to Cody. I actually got quite upset because I wanted Penta to get some momentum.
He was wearing the gold costume, and he was kind of doing a heel thing. It was during the pandemic. There was no crowd. Yeah, I remember that. Exactly. And then he lost the next week.
And then he loses. And then he disappears. What's the point?
I felt the same way. I was like, what? What?
It was annoying. And like you, I do think, unfortunately, Penta has been undervalued in AEW. I did watch AEW, and I thought he was excellent. It's actually my favorite episode as well, because he is so funny. He is so threatening. I love how scared RJ City is of him. And I feel if they were to do something with him in AEW where he can be Penta Dark again and win the TNT title or the Continental title or the International title, I mean, like, Tony Khan, you have all these titles. There's no reason not to put one of them on Penta at some point. You don't have to keep putting them on Orange Cast. I like Orange, but you have a huge roster here. I mean, or John Moxley or Jericho. I mean, come on, let's get real. And Penta is perfectly capable of being a singles wrestler. He has done it before. He doesn't have to be in a tag team all the time with his brother Phoenix. So, like you, I'm over it. I think that things need to change. And I do think that Tony Khan will try his best to keep him. But as a Penta fan, I really want them to make more of an effort now. It was nice to see him and Phoenix win the tag belts several years ago, but I don't really feel they've really done much besides that. I mean, sure, we see them on TV, but they won the trio tag belts, sure, but they've never. And yes, fine, Phoenix won the international belt, but we know the reason. It's because Moxley suffered a concussion. So at this point, I want to see them both as singles wrestlers, and I do want to see them with gold, especially because you have an international belt. Put it on international talent. And yes, Ospreay right now, fine. He'll probably defend it in the UK. He'll defend it in Japan. Fine. I'm okay with that. But eventually, I do want to see one of the secondary belts put on Pentagon. So I just really hope that he does stay. I think he will, but I do want to see more Penta on TV, and I want to see him be treated a lot better. And which brings me to my next point. Listen, I prefer that AEW pushes the really strong talent that they have instead of trying to bring in someone like Ricochet, who is not as charismatic. Terrific wrestler, don't get me wrong. But if he's going to come in and take some of these wrestler spots that I feel deserve more, I'm not going to be a big fan of that. So there, I gave my little Ricochet bit.
Hey, I got my MJF bit in. You get your Ricochet bit in. Hey, we all have opinions, people.
Look, I like the guy. He's a good wrestler, but if you're going to bring him in and it's going to be a problem again where there isn't enough room and some of the great talent isn't going to get TV time like Penta or Bandito or whoever, then I'm not for it. That's all I mean.
I 100% agree. I would love to see Will Ospreay defend that international title against the international talent that they already have. He's defending it this Wednesday against Phoenix, and I'm very excited about that match. I don't think there's a snowball's chance in hell Phoenix is going to win, but I want him to look strong. That's what I want, and he's going to. I want to see Penta and Phoenix in high-profile matches. I want to see Bandito in high-profile matches. Commander can be built, steadily into a role where he's in more high-profile matches. I don't think he's quite ready for that yet, but he's an incredible wrestler. There just needs to be more focus put on the luchadors, and they need to be treated like people who are real people. They're not just people with masks who can just lose all the time. And unfortunately, and I don't think it's there's any malicious intent to any of it, but that's how they kind of end up feeling a lot of the time in AEW and elsewhere, I should add.
And also, quick question for you, I Blake Daily. What do you think that Penta stays with AEW, or do you think there's a possibility that he may leave? What are your thoughts?
I think he'll probably stay. I would think that the Lucha Bros, for one, have their own promotion that they run that they couldn't do if he went to WWE. And I also think, they have their own clothing line. They have their own, they have a lot of business ventures together. And it's very hard for me to see AEW without either one of them. And I think Tony Khan needs to make it happen. I don't want to be unfair because I don't watch the product a lot, but my understanding is that WWE's use of luchadors is pretty spotty at best. And I don't really see him doing much more on their roster than he would do in AEW. So my hope is that Tony backs up the Brinks truck and gives him a big bag and gives Phoenix a big bag too. Those guys, I feel the same about them that I feel about Trent Beretta, irrespective of their background or where they come from. They have been very selfless in making other people look good. The Wrestling Observer, and, I'm not a big fan of reporting a lot of rumors, but the Wrestling Observer had a bit in there this week about Penta and that Tony Khan's confident he can re-sign him. And that Tony apparently acknowledged that there was some discontent over Penta not being able to work shows when CMLL talent is involved. And you know what? I don't blame him one fucking bit.
Not at all.
Penta and Phoenix have given their bodies, given their physical primes to AEW. They should be treated with absolute respect. I'm so glad that so many people agreed with that when I was talking about it last week and agree with us today, because These guys are outrageously talented. And something that should be said is I didn't really know about the Lucha Bros whatsoever before AEW. I knew these guys as singles wrestlers, and they were world title level guys. Everywhere else they wrestled. So I just want to see them be treated the same way here, you know? And AEW of all places should be able to figure it out. All right. We're moving on. And we're moving on to our man, the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson. He announced that he is going to enter himself in the Owen Hart Foundation tournament. Very interesting. Because he brings particular attention to things that the fans have been complaining quite a bit about, which is that he's lost absolutely everything that he's been involved in. Hell, he lost to Christian Cage in a match for the TNT title. He lost to Will Ospreay. He lost to MJF. He's lost every AEW world title opportunity he's ever had. He's lost more AEW world title matches than anyone else. Okay? And so he said he has one last opportunity at an AEW title. And it's his best opportunity, and that's to win the Owen Hart Foundation tournament and main event All In. This got my attention, Joshi G. This got my attention. Because I think he should win the Owen Hart tournament. And I think he should wrestle in the main event of All In. What do you think?
Of course. I'm a huge Danielson fan, and he has been the most selfless wrestler in AEW that's come from another promotion. He puts others over. He loses quite often. He hasn't won a single belt in AEW, and he's part of their committee, which is a pretty big responsibility, having to come up with decisions that are not very easy to make
the disciplinary committee.
The disciplinary committee for the betterment of the company. Mm-hmm. He is very pro AEW. He is pro Tony Khan. He is the ideal employee. And I want to see him rewarded. So I think he should be the one to win the Owen. He should main event All In. I would like to see him wrestle Swerve again. The only thing that I guess I'm not so sure about is if their plan was for him to wrestle Nigel, since Nigel has been calling him out and picking on him on Collision for a year now. Mm-hmm. Is that the plan? I think either match would be fitting for him. He has a lot of history with Nigel, so it would be really cool to see that match happen after basically both of their careers ended for a while. I mean, Danielson's ended for a while, and Nigel's is still not, it has not recovered, but he is willing to have one more match. So I wonder if they'll decide to do Nigel Danielson at All In, or do you put him against Swerve for the title? He wins it and then he drops it in Tacoma, Washington. I wonder if that's what's going to happen. I don't know. I'm for either possibility, but I do really want him with some gold. I think it's fitting. They did it with Sting. He retired with the tag belts. So why not? Let's reward the guy. And I know how Danielson is. He's a selfless guy. I don't want a title. I know his attitude. And I love him for that. I truly do, because you could tell he just loves professional wrestling. He is a true wrestler. But at the same time, the Danielson fan in me, knowing that this is his last year as a full-time wrestler, really wants to see him with some gold, for sure.
Yeah, this feels like the only way he could really justify being given another world title shot is by winning this tournament, because he has lost so much. Pretty much every time he's in a singles match, he loses. Yeah. And I don't have a problem with that. Danielson himself has even said that there's certain elements of wrestling that he's enjoying as much or more than being in the ring, because his body is pretty goddamn beat up at this point. And so, I think he is starting to make his peace really with truly the idea of retiring from full-time competition. Assuming that Swerve beats Ospreay at Forbidden Door, I think he will. I would like to see Danielson versus Swerve at Wembley, and I would like to see Danielson win. This is the only scenario under which I would want to see Swerve drop that title. anytime soon. Swerve, we say it every week, but it's for a damn good reason. This man's game keeps going up and up and up and up. He wrestled Roderick Strong this week on Dynamite. They had an absolute classic. It's going to be one of those matches. It's so good, but there's so much good shit on Dynamite that it might go under the radar over time, but it shouldn't. It was a really great match. And Swerve, he didn't need to lift up Roddy Strong, but everyone he's in the ring with, he lifts up. He's helping them reach a new level. And Roderick Strong didn't need the help, but man, that just made the match even better. But I want to see Swerve get past Ospreay. I'm not sure where Ospreay is going to go. And great point about Nigel. I had thought the same thing. You know, what do they do with Nigel? Because, you know, I think we all believed that's where they would go with Danielson. And maybe it will be. Okay. I don't know who all is in the Owen yet, but Swerve versus Danielson seems like a pretty big time fucking match when you're trying to get 50,000 people to an arena. Right. And yes, so like that would be my idea would be that Danielson wins it All In, has a short title reign, and drops it to Swerve in Tacoma, Swerve's hometown, Danielson's home state, drop the belt back to Swerve at Wrestle Dream, where I will be in attendance. I don't mind that idea at all. I don't mind that idea one bit. I would love to see my boy regain the title from Danielson, see my boy Danielson go out on his back, which you know he's going to insist upon. But you have some potential for some really great shit there. I mean, really, 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 really good stuff. So our Forbidden Door update for the moment, we got Ospreay and Swerve. That's going to be absolutely fucking incredible. You got Mercedes and Stephanie Becker, which is just like, what the fuck? Woo! Are you kidding me? We got, as revealed at Dominion, it's going to be Tetsuya Naito versus Jon Moxley. I think Naito's going to take it.
He's going to win it back.
Naito gets the belt back. Not the match I'm that stoked about. I would have loved to have seen something else. I love Tetsuya Naito. He's one of my all-time favorite Japanese wrestlers, but I don't know. This just feels a little stale to me. We'll see. I bet you it'll be a great match. But I think Naito's going to win it back. Mina Shirakawa versus Toni Storm for the AEW Women's World Title. And as announced, I believe on Collision, Orange Cassidy will be facing Zack Sabre Jr. That's going to be a really, really great match. And yes, ZSJ, as he referred to himself, did call Orange Cassidy Orange Bollocks. So it was pretty much a great episode, a perfect episode of Collision just for that reason alone. But definitely an episode that I can't wait for you to see, Joshi G, just for us to talk about it, just the two of us.
Yeah, I'll watch it tonight. Look, Zach needs to win that match.
Well, I think this is a good opportunity for him to win. You know, unfortunately, as it stands right now, there is so little actual true New Japan talent on this show so far. I'm also interested, is Okada going to wrestle on this show? Is in a singles? We really haven't seen how CMLL is going to be involved yet. I would also like to see more of Stardom and more true New Japan talent. I would love to see Yota Tsuji on this show. I would love to see Shooter on this show. I would love to see Gabe Kidd potentially on this show. Shingo Takagi.
I know. That's the one that I want to see the most. Please.
Here's a match I want to see. And Tony Khan, you son of a bitch. You better be listening. Because I want to see Shingo Takagi in a singles match with Claudio Castagnoli.
Oh, that's a good idea.
My God. Can you imagine how good that match would be? Give him 20 minutes, you son of a bitch. Give him 20 minutes, Claudio versus Shingo Takagi. They would kill it together. They would murder it together.
Oh, yeah. You know,
they may have actually wrestled in Ring of Honor. I don't know if they did, but like...
they may have.
Back in like 2008, 2009. Yeah.
And you know, Jeff Cobb said that he wants to wrestle someone from AEW. Who will that be? I don't know. And also, Danielson, I imagine, has to be at Forbidden Door.
Yep.
Who does he? I really don't know. Like, I mean, mind you,
Takagi. I mean, if you're not going to give it, if you're not going to do Claudio, give it to Danielson.
yeah, why not?
Because I wasn't thinking of Danielson, because for some reason I had it in my head there would be this Owen Hart stuff going on at Forbidden Door, but there isn't. So
it's not starting there, is it?
no, I don't think
Right?
so. I don't think that makes sense. But
No.
you know, they're going to have to do some like triple threat, 4-way matches. They do it every time. We don't know what's going on with Bullet Club Gold.
Right? Yeah, that's another
I would
one.
love to see them. They did anoint. Jay White anointed Juice Robinson 1/4 of the trio's champions.
Oh, what a good guy.
And I love Excalibur going, "You can't be 1/4 of the trio's champions. It's a mathematical nightmare."
Oh, Excalibur. He's
so great.
He always goes according to the book.
He's so great. So
but-
they're going to freebird the titles, apparently.
Good. You know what? It's a good idea. I love Juicy, so.
Yeah, but I mean, the only thing about Forbidden Door that's a bummer, and it's a bummer every year, is you have so many great talents that aren't on the show. Who do the Bucks wrestle? Are they in a 6-man with Okada? You know, Jack Perry's going to be in the TNT title ladder match, I'm sure. He's fighting Dustin Rhodes on Wednesday.
Yeah.
To see who will make it to that match. I'm in suspense. Who could it be? Will Dustin beat Jack Perry? No, he will not.
Of course not.
He will not.
But
I have
you're
a feeling
right.
something very
Go ahead.
bad is going to happen to my boy Dustin.
Oh, yeah. I think
it's
so.
unfortunate.
Too. But yeah, no, I think you're right. There's so much talent, and unfortunately, they don't end up all being on the show. So I don't know. I mean, I also really want to see Hechicero on the show. I love that guy. I know he's with
I think he'll
Gates of
be there.
Agony now. Yeah.
Mhm.
Mystico would be really cool too. You know what I would personally do? Tony Khan, if you're listening, I think you should take this to heart. Why not just have a battle royal or a gauntlet match and put a women's and a men's gauntlet match or battle royal, and just put wrestlers from different promotions, and that way, a lot of them get to be on the card. That's what I would do. Why not?
If ever there was a time to do a get everybody on the show kind of thing, it's probably Forbidden Door, even more than All In, because there's talent from so many different companies. And I think you could absolutely do a get them on the show battle royal for either the women or the men, and then do the gauntlet for the other, whatever, one of one and one of the other, and just get people on the show. So, Josh, we got just one more piece of business. Last thing I wanted to bring up, we asked on the threads, how long have you watched pro wrestling? Now, it is very common for anyone who watches pro wrestling to have periods of time where they don't watch pro wrestling. As Chrissy Chemistry said, this is complicated because, like I think a lot of people, there were periods in my life where I didn't watch. But I started watching in like 97 and have loosely followed it, even when I wasn't watching, which I feel qualifies me as an old head. And it does, Chrissy Chemistry.
Yes.
It absolutely does. Because I've had a very long period where I didn't watch wrestling, almost 8 years. Okay? Because WWE, after they bought WCW, got terrible. And I just cashed out. But I wanted to talk about this poll for a minute. We had 93 votes. The poll just ended while we were taping this episode. 93 votes. 9% of people have watched for 1 to 5 years. 4% of people have watched for 6 to 10 years. 17% have watched for 10 to 20 years. And 70% have watched in what I called, whoa, we're old, which means more than 20 years. Okay? So I'm 44 years old. You just
37.
turned 37. Okay. The majority of people who participated in this poll, who most likely follow us on Threads, are old, like us. So I just want to say, I might be one of the younger people in this group for all I know. Joshi could be a baby in this group for all she knows. because she's 7 years younger than me. But there was one person who responded, and I have to give them a shout out, which was Darcy McLaughlin, who responded, I watched Randy Savage wrestle in Atlantic Grand Prix Wrestling in the 70s and posted a picture of the poster on which they saw where for the international champions, Leaping Lanny and Randy Savage wrestled each other. Leaping Lanny, obviously being the brother of Randy Savage, Leaping Lanny Poffo. Very fucking cool, if you ask me. I love professional wrestling. I know, Joshi G, you absolutely love pro wrestling. We dedicate so much of our time and so much of our lives to it. We want to make this community as big as we possibly can. We don't make any money from this show, folks. This is not a cash grab under by any circumstances. I'll tell you that right now. So if you could help us out, what we'd like to do is just connect with more people and make this network of wrestling fans even bigger so we can enjoy this with even more people. So if you could, please rate and review us on the iTunes store, on Spotify, or wherever you can rate and review podcasts. If you give us a great rating, we'd really appreciate it. It does help people find us and become a part of this community. Also, follow us on Threads. Follow us on Instagram. I'm iBlade Daily. Joshi G is Gina6000 on Threads and Instagram. You can also follow Sit Down, Shut Up, Mark Out on TikTok, on Instagram, and on Threads. Give us a follow over there. But until next time, I'm Blade Daily.
And I'm Joshi G. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everybody. Pro wrestling.